let's celebrate some wins.
All right.
All right. So I know you had a tough week.
Yep.
Sounds to me like you had a pretty bad week on the show and you got crap.
Yeah.
I had a crazy week. I had just a busy week. Texted my buddy Spanish in the middle of the week. He never got back to me.
I did not. I was self-isolating.
That's fine.
Definitely self-isolating.
It's fine. But there's always, sometimes buried underneath the rubble of our lives, a win worth celebrating. So I want to celebrate a couple of wins.
Okay.
All right. Here's win number one for me. My wife's car didn't blow up.
Ooh, that is big time.
These women, let me tell you, these women, they don't know a whole lot about cars. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I hope that's not sexist, but I don't really care because these women, let me tell you. So my wife drives a Subaru Outback.
Well, it's a great car.
It's a great car. It was actually my daughter's car. I bought her a 2009 Subaru Outback because I did research that the 2009 Subaru Outback is literally one of the top, most dependable cars on the road.
Really?
Yeah. So is the 2015 Toyota Tacoma, which is what I drive.
Mm-hmm.
So I have this thing for cars that just last forever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you still got to take care of those cars. And one of the things that you do when you take care of a car is you change the oil, right? Now, that's going to be my responsibility. I don't expect my wife to be like, all right, I'm going to go change the oil. I get that. But I go to Oaxaca for a couple of weeks. And I'm talking to her on the phone and she goes, yeah, the car sounds kind of weird. And there's all these lights on the dashboard. I was like,
Oh, no.
okay, well, that's not a good thing, honey. Tell me about that. And she's like, well, it's the check engine and all that stuff. I was like, well, check engine is not that thing. And I was like, is there a light that looks like an oil can? And she's like, I don't even know what that is. I was like, well, don't worry about it. So I get back from Oaxaca and I take the car for a spin and I'm like, oh my gosh, there is something really bad with this car. So I drove right to AutoZone. This car holds 5 quarts of oil in its container, I would assume. Somewhere in that ballpark, 5.5 quarts of oil. Dude, I put 4 quarts of oil in the car.
Oh, my God.
It was running on a quart of oil.
Oh.
Now, I put 4 quarts of oil. All the lights went away. All the noises went away. It was great. I'm not a car mechanic. I have no idea what I'm doing. But I was like, honey, you almost blew up one of the most dependable cars on the road because there was no friggin' oil in the car.
Oh, my God.
So I celebrate the win that our little Subaru Outback running like a champ.
She made it.
She made it.
Yeah,
all she needed was some oil. So we have a car. We have another car. Give me a win. What happened to you this week that's worth celebrating?
Well, I could tell you my big win for today was the coffee that I had this morning from Oaxaca, and it is delicious. Thank you very much.
It's a good cup of coffee.
It is a great cup of coffee. And I think the big win that for me personally, especially this week, is that even when I was allowing myself to get upset, I still had the ability to take a second, pause, and to just kind of go, listen, there are some things that are out of my control. I can control how much I decided to scratch myself, so I was able to stop before it got really, really bad. I mean, I still scratch myself to the point of, it's noticeable on my face, but at least I'm not bleeding from everywhere, which is definitely a positive in comparison to, the end of 2023. So that's a win.
Take it. Take it, man. That's a good win. That's a good win. Good for you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
You're not bleeding from your face.
Yeah, which I got to tell you, last year I was sick, and then I had a gig at this place called Goodnight John Boy down in downtown St. Pete. Uh-huh. And I was showering before the event, and my skin was so weak from how much abuse it was taking that when I got out of the shower, I noticed that I was bleeding from my head, and I had to call Mike and be like, I don't know what to do. I'm bleeding from my forehead. And he's like, just stay home. Just stay home. And I was like, all right, thank you. That's probably the best choice. So I'm not bleeding from my head.
Yeah. You know what, man? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I like the Spanish on the side of the spectrum where there's no bleeding, no itching.
Me too.
And you're just happy.
Yeah.
So when you celebrate wins, that's a little bit of dopamine.
Yeah, it is. I like that. Thank you.
Okay, so I just want to give you a little bit of dopamine to
Appreciate
say
that.
a win worth celebrating is you're not bleeding from your face.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe next week your win might be even bigger than that.
I like that.
You might add another layer to it.
We got hope.
Okay, that's all we can do.
Mm-hmm.
1-800-771-1025, 1-800-771-1025 if you want to join in this conversation or any conversation. And it's probably worth saying, when we started this show, happy 3-month anniversary, by the way.
Thank you. Happy anniversary.
We're so cute. When we started this show, and we didn't know what kind of calls we were going to get. Our first calls from this first couple of shows, if you recall, were all about addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Guys showing up at the ABC parking lot, didn't know how they got there, down in it was an impressive amount of alcohol.
Yeah.
Like a couple of these guys like, yeah, man, I drink like 5 bottles of wine a night. And I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah. I thought I was an alcoholic, but sir, you have me beat.
You got me beat. So I'm going to celebrate this win. We have not had any calls having anything to do with addiction in at least a month. We've cured alcoholism.
Damn right.
That's right. Alcoholism out the door.
Gone, America.
We solved it.
We did it. We did it, everybody.
So, but now, of course, phone lines are going to flood with people like, yeah, I'm at the ABC parking lot.
Yeah.
I'm at the Publix liquor parking lot.
Woo!
But if you have something you need to figure out, that's the space we want to give to you, a place to figure out what you need to figure out. What we were talking about last hour is when people get to you, what do you do? Because it was something that happened with me personally. And it kind of unfolded to this conversation around when you screw up, and this was my own reflection, having accountability. But like when I think about the situation that I had at work, not the dude who threatened he was going to commit suicide and all that stuff, but just this other situation, I was like, yeah, you know what? I did not get back to that guy in time. He has a right to feel the way he feels. I can't control, however, his own stuff that caused him to lash out at me very unnecessarily. It's like, you didn't call me back soon enough, therefore you're a horrible human being, and this sucks, and you're like, dude, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
And what that made me reflect on was I've been married a long time. I've been with this woman, my lovely bride, Tanya. We've been together 30 years, been married 27-ish or whatever. And last night she called me drunk from New York City. She was walking around lost. I was like, is that safe? Whatever. She knows New York City better than most people. But she's like, hey, I got this great hotel. We're going for our anniversary. So our anniversary is in December. So that's one good thing. But one of the things that I have learned in a lot of fights, and you made me think of this last time, last break when you talk about ex-girlfriend, is there are times when we have had some really hardcore fights. Like, as only two people who have been together for the amount of time that we've had, like full on, like, yelling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nothing like abusive,
right,
nothing like that. But
going for the jugular with
yeah,
stuff you're saying,
it's just like, I'm going to dig deep into you. You're going to dig deep into me. And we're just going to, punch each other metaphorically, not physically. And I came to an understanding a few years ago where a lot of the time, because we went through a phase, probably 2014 to 2016, where it got pretty bad. Like, it got really bad. Now, I don't know that it was ever bad to the point of like, hey, we're going to get a divorce, but it was just the fights were really intense.
Mm-hmm.
And that, in reflection, and some of this actually came with the fact that Tanya and I have done some plant medicine and seeing things clearer, is an understanding that those fights had nothing to do with me. Her lashing out at me literally had nothing to do with me, had everything to do with her own viewpoint. Same with me. When I would lash out at her, what I started to understand, it was like, man, I was kind of raised in a very unique environment. And that's kind of showing up as a 49, 50-year-old. And it didn't have anything to do with her if I was lashing out at her. And I think there's this really unique balance. And this is the place that I'm getting to today, is there is this unique balance of accountability of your own stuff, but also understanding that in those situations, when someone is just coming at you, in this case, my wife, that it really doesn't have anything to do with me. That does not absolve me from responsibility. If it like here's an example. Let's say, not that this was in a situation, but let's just throw something on the table that's easy to understand. I didn't do the dishes. I'm just making something up here. I didn't do the dishes. But if I didn't do the dishes turns into you're the worst human being on planet Earth, that has nothing to do with the dishes. Mm-hmm. That has everything to do with something deeper inside. Didn't get hugged enough as a kid, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like that does not absolve me. Like, I still need to do the dishes. I still need to fill the Berkey water filter, which is apparently something in my house. I don't do it. We're so organic and
I love
green.
it. I love it.
But You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think there's a balance there of like, let me reflect for a second. So you celebrated a win of being able to pause.
Mm-hmm.
That's always a win worth celebrating. Let me commend you on that. But the reality of it is that in that moment of pause, it's okay. I should have filled the Berkey water filter. I should have done the dishes. But does the punishment fit the crime? No, I don't need to be yelled at to the degree in which I'm being yelled at. Like I made a simple mistake or I screwed something up. So it's like, and I think that just shows up. That shows up with my clients. Maybe that's, something that showed up with you this week with whatever happened to you on the morning show or at any point. You talked about your ex-girlfriend, like rolling out of bed and just like jumping right into you. It's like, dude, I haven't had coffee yet. So there's nothing I could have done at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I woke up to violence.
Right.
Metaphoric violence, but violence nonetheless.
Right. So it's like, all right, that doesn't have anything to do with me. So it's like there's some level of, again, it's the balance between your own self-accountability and knowing that just sometimes I may be getting the complete wrath of the female of the species, but it has nothing to do with me in this situation. It has everything to do with something that happened to her long before we met. And that's been something that actually has allowed me to have some grace from myself, grace in the relationship. And I actually think, and again, I do point to, experimentation with plant medicine as a vessel for clarity. But I'm married to a woman right now that I feel closer to now than I have ever felt in my life. And that feels really, really good. But some of that comes from an understanding of what I can control and what I can't. And I think that's something that's worth saying. And maybe for my own self, when I think about clients who just go off the rails, it's like, all right, I will own the accountability of whatever. But dude, if you're emailing me, what a passive aggressive thing to do. And I hate passive aggressive.
I know.
Can I just say that?
Yeah.
God, I hate passive aggressive. And when you're emailing me going, I just want you to know that I took a bunch of pills and drank half a bottle of vodka. I'm like, dude, nothing to do with me.
Yeah, dude.
That's 100% you, buddy.
You got to talk to somebody, man.
You better talk to somebody. Oh, such a boss move. You know what my owner of the company did? This is the coolest thing ever. When he emailed that dude that I was telling you about, I love this move. This is the best move ever. He emailed him and was like, hey, man, I think you need some help. I think you need some serious help. Click this link. You can go to betterhelp.com. And it was an affiliate link so that he would get money.
Awesome.
When this guy joins BetterHelp.
Awesome. That is a boss move. I like that. I like that. I'm going to take a page out of his book.
So anyway, I don't know that we need to beat this horse any deader than it already is.
I like it. Thank you for talking to me.
But I do feel like it shows up in life for you, for me, for all of us, of that balance between personal responsibility and accountability and understanding that in moments of tension and anxiety and stress, because I'm really tired of you itching.
Yeah, I know.
I don't care that you itch. I just don't want the things in your life that cause you to itch.
Same.
That there's just certain things that are out of your control, and that's okay.
Yeah. That's a hard thing to swallow. Sometimes it's a hard thing to swallow. I feel like, especially how I was raised, I'm the type of person that likes to have control. I like to at least have the illusion that I can control certain things. So when I am met with the reality that it is not in my control, I do have a tendency to spiral because it's like, oh my God, what is happening? How many other things are not in my control that I've never really looked at? And then bam, it's off to the races.
Well, let me just peel back the curtain here for a second. You're not really in control of anything.
I know.
You just gotta roll with it. You gotta listen to that little voice inside. That little voice inside that's like, hey, Anthony, go in this direction. Just go in that direction. I don't know what's gonna happen, but go in that direction. Yeah. No, I'm gonna just get locked in my head. So, all right. Our phone number is 1-800-771-1025. Are you good?
Yes.
Okay.
I feel much better. Thank you. Seriously, since this morning.
Okay, good. I want to make sure you're good because I notice I like happy Anthony.
Yeah.
And I don't like melancholy Anthony.
I know. Me neither. He's a bore.
I know, but I don't want you to, it's not a feign some sort of happiness. I want you to actually genuine feel it from within so I can tell whenever things are not. But 1-800-771-1025 is our phone number. Remember, this is a place for you to get support if you need support. 1-800-771-1025. Also, really quick, do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube. Go do that now. Some good content rolling this week of me and Spanish in the truck with my stuffed corgi Guillermo,
Love Guillermo.
talking about some really, really good stuff. So subscribe YouTube at Let's Get Real Radio Show at YouTube. This is Let's Get Real on 102.5 The Bone.